With Final Fantasy XII beyond the horizon and Chizuru slowly disappearing from the opposite side, there's no time like the present to fret about non-Final Fantasy units. Should I get Chizuru now? What if Mir shows up the week after? And if not, what's beyond Final Fantasy XII? And so that's why I made this video. So we're still missing a collaboration, Legend of Mana. However, Trials of Mana was also 6 months late, so never give up, I guess. Elizal is a physical damage dealer that can chain up Absolute Mirror of Equity and deal light damage. Obviously, his Limit Burst deals wind damage. His Super Limit Burst is pretty much the same, but boasts some killer effects to really give the attack an extra kick. Pearl should also appear on the same non-existent banner. Her base form has some incredible abilities like escape and healing herself, because that's what we've been lacking all this time. Of course, she does have some more standard abilities, as her normal attack cures status ailments for your team. If you're not convinced to save for her yet, just look at that Limit Burst. For 60 Limit Burst crystals, you get to use her Limit Burst. But activate her Brave Shift and you'll probably stumble upon story spoilers. Obviously this means nothing to you though. Regardless, she's now a physical damage dealer that can use fire and light attacks to chain of Absolute Mirror of Equity. Of course, being from the same game as Elizal, it doesn't make sense to be consistent, which is why her Limit Burst deals dark damage. Her Limit Burst gets stronger if you choose, and tacks on the ever-helpful Hammer in Peril, which finally gives you an alternative to Maeve. She also has a one-time entrust ability that's one use only for whatever reason, almost as if they were worried that her base form might actually have some modicum of use. Legend of Mana is not the only collaboration we've missed, as we've also just missed a free unit known as God. God also has different names, such as the Master or the Lord of Light, but regardless, he's from ActRaiser Renaissance, a game that is a game. Most of his attacks deal magical damage which use up a portion of his Limit Burst gauge, but God can be pretty flexible so long as you've got the right support. God's Limit Burst will smite beasts and demons with flexible physical damage, while his Super Limit Burst is the same thing but better. It also raises the damage modifier of his abilities. Since it's August, you can't forget about Christmas. This has also been pushed back in a desperate attempt to make sense, but hey, I'm rooting for them. Christmas Charlotte is a magical tank with excellent passes. In terms of tanking capability though, her abilities are fairly standard. She can apply decent attack and magic breaks too, but a 200% fire and wind elemental resistance buff is pretty incredible. Perhaps even more incredible is one of her grandest abilities, which grants your team a whopping 99% magic mitigation buff, though only for one turn. Her second grandest ability gives your team a re-raise and an HP barrier, but also sacrifices Charlotte, which doesn't really bode well when she's likely there to tank. She does have Stage 3 Shelga though, just like King of Leonis Mont's Stage 3 Protecta. Her Limit Burst boasts some sturdy levels of mitigation, though it's her Super Limit Burst that takes it a step further. Unfortunately, EX plus 3 doesn't get any cheaper. Notably, she lacks a form of automatic cover. The second Christmas unit is Domino, a 3-star unit. Now upgraded to a Neo Vision, Domino gets to deal strong physical wind damage that chains a bolting strike. That is, unfortunately, pretty much it, though her Limit Burst does buff the damage modifier for normal attack. Her Super Limit Burst does the same, but better, which might be cool if you like normal attacks. After Rain's appearance, we see Rain. Wow. As the Warrior of Light, but not really, he has some interesting tools. Strong magic mitigation, 85% full breaks, provoke, and HP barrier. But it must be stressed he's not a tank. He seems to have abandoned Stardust Ray entirely, but he does go back to his fire and earth roots. His Limit Burst is locked to fire and sets up his Brave Shift for more damage. Activate it, and we see that there are definitely some interesting callbacks of this dual element attack, though he's still not a tank. His Limit Burst is pretty normal, dealing strong fire damage. Final Fantasy XII returns of Baltierr. His base form is a water or earth damage dealer, but really, he's just water. He also packs several recovery tools because he can, and has the ability to turn someone into a meat shield provoke tank. Activate his true Brave Shift and he becomes a fire damage dealer with breaks that were probably impressive in Japan. His Limit Burst has the amazing ability to not be element locked, wow, and is generous enough to poke holes into 3 specific species. He can also use magic spells because, I guess. Ashe also appears. A magic tank that can also turn someone else into a provoke tank. She also packs tools like breaks, Stage 3 Shelga, light and dark resistance, magic damage, and 250% killer buffs for 2 species. Her Limit Burst might have a wonderfully heavy cost, but at least it has a strong Mason Peril. Activate her true Brave Shift and she switches to a support angle, with 1 more strong killer buff. She also packs a lot more support magic, and at EX plus 3 has Roberta's on-demand fire buff, wow! Her heavy limit burst has some strong damage and support aspects, though it doesn't change the heavy cost problem. Vaughn also gets a Neo Vision form, a breaker who can break. He also focuses on fire imperils, with a limit burst that still refuses to hit 90% breaks, and a super limit burst that's slightly better. He also gets a barebone white magic kit, to prove he's a main character too. Luis and White Dragon Ling appear. They're completely different from Globo, but Luis does have better voice acting now. Final Fantasy X returns with Tidus. His base form's primarily a physical damage dealer who uses either Stardust Ray or Bolting Strike, and his heavy limit burst cost boasts a 40% sword imperil. If that doesn't sound like he's worth the premium price tag, then rest assured they slapped on the premium killer passives, then promised to double that if you awaken him further. His Brave Shift doesn't have a turn duration, but it does have a cooldown. In this form, he gets some weak water support, but the truth is, he's the one who wants to do the damage, with a limit burst that seeks to make throwing weapons serious business. He's also got a Super Trustmaster reward that looks promising since it increases the damage modifier of your unit's limit burst, and even though it doesn't include every limit burst type, a boost is nevertheless a boost. Lulu gets a Neo Vision form as well. She might be a pure breaker, but she can also strengthen her water spells, while the other elements are just kinda there. In order to set herself apart from the last Super Limit Burst breaker, she showcases a limit burst that's literally like Vaughn's but magic water. Like literally Vaughn's but magic water. Jet becomes a premium unit too. He can either be a physical tank or an omni tank that will probably die, but he's also a physical damage dealer that scales off his defense. He too has the fancy killer passes for a premium damage dealer. Well, tank in this case, and packs some really potent green magic as well. His limit burst is pretty familiar. Attack, break, defend, and niche species defense, though his super limit burst takes it one step further by doing the same thing but slightly better. He too has a Super Trustmaster reward that increases the damage modifier of limit burst attacks, though only for the ones that scale off defense. Kimari also shows up. He's a water and fire magic damage dealer that can also buff his water and light damage, and either serve as a water jumper or prove his worth of his light magic limit burst. He also has niche spells because blue magic is also a thing. The winner of the popularity poll shows up armed with a jetpack, big gun, and shoulder cannon because she's the winner. If you remember her 7-star form, you can see some similarities, giving herself killer buffs and strengthening her damage modifiers, defensive buffs and strengthening her damage modifiers, or imbuing earth and ice and strengthening her damage modifiers, more ways to increase her damage, and a very weak attack that benefits from those damage modifiers. She's also got a powerful ability that can't be used until the 99th turn, but thankfully she has one grandest ability that gradually reduces its cooldown. Despite not being a premium unit, she still gets the excellent killer buffs, which lets her cap easily with the other killer buffs she already has. Her limit burst also deals magic damage and strengthens her damage modifiers of the weak ability and 99 turn ability, and her super limit burst doesn't. However, it does buff her magic, and lets her team pool their MP to strengthen Regina. Now there's story stuff. Final Fantasy X returns, but this time it's the second one. Yuna appears again, learning from the past mistakes of weak abilities outside her Brave Shift. She's got strong magic mitigation for a single turn, general support, repeated evasion, Reaper killers on turn 3, a limit burst support-like ability on turn 5, and slowly strengthening water amplification support at EX plus 2. Despite this amazing looking ability, her limit burst is still pretty standard elemental support style from Japan, and even though her new abilities sound great, she can only do them one at a time. Thankfully, her 2-turn Brave Shift rectifies this by taking away those base support abilities, and switching them out for self-chaining magic damage. As you can see from the Brave ability, she heavily favors water, and afterwards has to spend another 4 turns waiting to do whatever that was again. Riku also appears. Her base form has the ability to be a tank for one person, provoke, remove buffs. Yeah, in short, it doesn't look too good. But her limit burst deals lightning damage and has human killers. Wow, that's been popping up quite a bit, huh? Her 3-turn Brave Shift goes deeper into damage, with self-chaining because of whatever she's riding. Her limit burst also self-chains, and 6 of lightning because what even is this? Is that a chocobo tank? Pain appears as well. A Dark Knight who does dark damage. She really goes the extra mile in reminding us that Dark Knights are a thing. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, but that's just set up for whatever this is. Now self-chaining is in the mix, and even though she has 2 more elements, she still sticks with dark. In case this looked pretty similar, yeah, it's even the same Brave Shift as Riku. Final Fantasy IX returns. Kuja appears with a human killer. Wow, Japan must be fighting off waves of humans. A fire and light magic damage dealer with self buffs that favor light. His limit burst deals fire damage, and he also brings in stage 3 flare. Activate his Brave Shift with an identical kit but no human killer, and see that his limit burst now shifts to light. His passives are stronger in this form though, but he only stays in this form for 3 turns and has to spend 4 more to wait. Dagger also appears. We've never actually seen Dagger in Globo. A healer with support abilities and evoke damage, you're really using the support abilities here. Unfortunately, despite looking fancy, they're all pretty standard, except for her 1 cooldown ability that can boost the damage modifiers of various Land Burst types. She's also got field effects of Rama and Alexander, assorted white and green magic that's still pretty basic, and a heavy Land Burst that strengthens evoke damage and revives. Activate her 2-turn Brave Shift for another identical kit but better passives, and a lightning evoke Land Burst. Season 4 appears once more with Ihana, a physical damage dealer with 3 abilities designed for power creep, and Land Bursts that are just like Tulian's without the breaks. He'd be absolutely unnotable if it weren't for his good passives. Alongside Season 4 armored unit is Season 4 hooded girl Ihana. With several powerful killers and various support type magic, it's pretty clear she's just copying Ilmatale's good template. But I mean, Ilmatale was a good unit, so it's not a bad idea. Final Fantasy IV returns. Cecil's base form is a Dark Knight that deals dark damage, but he also takes some cool aspects of the Brave Shift like Paladin Cecil, packing some strong elemental resistance support in this form. Activate his true Brave Shift and he becomes a magic tank, switching his damage from dark to light, but can't seem to shake off the curse of long cooldowns. He's also got stuff like magic spells, tanking mitigation, though I did forget to mention he also packs a Land Burst damage field effect. Rosa appears alongside Cecil, a supporter who can grant strong killer buffs, do that fun barrage thing for break gauges, and packs other types of support abilities and spells. She's overall a strong supporter whose Land Bursts do support. The Chrono Cross collaboration appears. Surge is a light magic damage dealer that might support your team with his side buffs and area effects, and though his MP consumption looks absolutely ridiculous, he does reduce his own MP because it's funny. He also has the ability to reduce cooldowns on a cooldown, and despite his wayward support, he's pretty much primarily a light damage dealer. Kid also appears, a supporter and a breaker. She's also a fire magic damage dealer with the same cool abilities that look like they cost a lot. Her fire imperos and breaks look strong, but aren't actually any better than bots, showcasing once again Japan's weird refusal to grow. Lynx rounds out the Chrono Cross collaboration as a magic damage dealer and a supporter who primarily works with dark. As you can see, the kit is incredibly similar to Surge. Final Fantasy III makes its return with Ingus. A magic damage dealer and a supporter, Ingus has access to basic fire, water, wind, and earth support, but also has access to ice and lightning damage. The 3 basic white magic is a thing, though his Land Burst looks more interesting as it lets their team quadruple cast black magic while strengthening Ingus's own magic spells. Activate his true Brave Shift and he becomes a breaker. His on-demand breaks are very unimpressive, though his elemental imperos try to take a new angle through field imperos. His Land Burst in this form packs a bit of variety, but nothing tremendously good, so it's pretty average all things considered. With Final Fantasy III out of the way, we're now returning to Final Fantasy VI. Edgar appears once again as a physical damage dealer and a debuffer, though his ice damage can be pretty good with his one-time ice buff. His heavy Land Burst cost really favors Warring Spirit though, especially since you need to use it to bring out his strong ice imperil. Activate his true Brave Shift and he once again becomes a jumper, though he's best locked to ice. His Land Burst supports that playstyle, strengthening its damage modifiers and giving him killers, allowing his damage to make up for his poor breaks. Sabin also returns, a fire physical damage dealer. He's a fire physical damage dealer. The Xenogears collaboration returns. Though the other Neo Visions do get buffs, that's not what this video is about. Saiton shows up and shows off his back, with a big focus on green damage. Activate his robot form and you pretty much get a wind-type robot, bolstering his incredible passives with his extra robot stats. Whether or not you want to go empty-handed as the last 3 isn't as cut and dry. A Saiton's robot gets the highly specialized ability of carrying weapons and making use of their imperos. Of course, the bigger question though might be him or Ellie. Her base form returns with 4 types of magic damage, though they're Bolting Strike and not Chaos Wave Awaken, and her Land Burst also returns with the ability to be flexible. Activate her Brave Shift and she calls in her robot, bringing in passives that shift her far more towards wind. She also gets a big attack boost when not carrying a single weapon, but as a magic damage dealer she doesn't really care. Her Land Burst is now locked to wind, so there goes that cool elemental flexibility. Final Fantasy Season 4 returns with 2 characters we've already seen before, but now they're paired up. A fire and ice damage dealer that's heavily biased for fire, their Land Burst is nevertheless locked to both. However, they do have the ability to choose between the 2, though the number of attacks that will work with one amount to 1 ability and their Super Land Burst. After going through the ages, we come around full circle. Final Fantasy VII returns with Cloud, but this time, we finally learn his last name! Cloud Schreife has the freedom to choose between 4 elements of his choosing, though he heavily favors lightning. Despite this, he's not actually element locked, which is especially generous for a Japanese premium unit. Activate his True Brave Shift and he switches forms, switching his Potent Strike chain for a Shrung Blow, and replaces his Limit Burst for a more straightforward beat stick. Following Cloud's incredible strength is another not Neo unit from Final Fantasy VII, Barret, but now we know what he leads. Going from his Neo Vision Awakened form of a physical damage dealer and a tank, Barret defines himself as a physical damage dealer and a tank, and his support abilities amount to filling the Limit Burst gauge and probably dying. While he does have strong magic spells, the elemental resistance buffs still only amount to 2, and his Limit Bursts take on those niche standards that no one ever remembers. And those were all the upcoming Neo Vision units that Japan has received. Keep in mind that the global version of the game gets its own original characters that are often much better, and hopefully that Nier Automata collaboration brings something cool. Regardless, in the end, though they try their best, they're nowhere near the sheer charisma of Rizer. But hey, maybe they'll still win you over. Either way, thanks for watching, and if you liked this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Feel free to comment below. Do any of these Neo Vision units catch your eye? I'm super excited we finally get to see the real Cloud Schreife. All this time, I was just so disappointed I never saw his last name. There are also Neo Vision Awakened units, but Rizer's not among them, so who really cares?